people, 3 to 4 days, I should say. So the first day, he's been on the show before, but never by himself, right? He was with the collective that was Nita, Meredith, and I think there was a fourth person there, but I cannot remember for the life of me if there was.
It was Rob, but I don't think he came on this show.
No, he didn't.
Not coming. It was just the three of us.
Yeah. But I've talked to Nita and Meredith since. Nita's afraid of me a little bit, actually. She's like a little scared of me.
She's scared of you?
I read people pretty well, right? So when it's just one of those things. I've interviewed so many people. I can usually pick up things from people that, and again, I'm not trying to expose in terrible secrets. It's just I can hear what isn't said sometimes as much as what is said, and that perturbs some people. So I've done that to Nita. Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna talk. Don't worry, I'm not trying to make you look bad. Just like if you got any real deep dark secrets,
they can stay buried.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you them off the air, not on the air.
I feel like I'm pretty much. I try to be an open book.
Yeah.
And it's like if people see something different, they do, and oh well, keep it moving. Let's go.
Well, you gotta be you. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, like the rest of this doesn't really matter. You gotta be you. That's the start. That's the finish. Everything else doesn't really matter. I mean, it's about being comfortable in your own skin, right? Right. That's it. That's all this is, right? I mean, what I do here is I try to give people the opportunity to get people's story, whatever that story actually is, and the rest we'll just figure out as we go. Because like I don't want this to sound like I'm a cold, callous asshole here, but more like I'm more interested in hearing your story. But in terms of like expectations, I don't care what the story is. I would rather just be like, let's hear you out. Let's figure out who you are, and we'll roll with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you kind of want to be organic with it as much as possible. And some people naturally are more guarded on who they let in, and that's fine. That's how some people are. But for me, I just try to be me, my best me I can, and then go with it. I'm a nerd. I'm not afraid to say, look, guys, I'm a nerd, and if y'all like nerds, I'm here. If not, oh well.
See, the big thing I got from you when we were talking is like you and me have similar interests. That's the big thing about us. Personality, I'm not sure we're like we'll figure this out as we talk. But interest wise, I'm like, okay, we at least have a good starting point. Like that's pretty much it.
Well, I feel like we're in the same realm of at least our interests as we grew up as well. Yes. Are similar things, because I'm 45. I don't know how old you are.
12. No, I'm 39. I'm 39.
Okay. I say we're still in the same realm.
Oh, no.
Transformers, GoBots. You kind of remember those.
Here's the big thing. I was at the tail end of Transformers and the start of Power Rangers. You were in the heart of Transformers, and you were out by the time Power Rangers came out.
Yeah, I didn't never get into it. I felt like they were ripping it off.
Yeah, because that was you were too old for that when it hit, right?
I felt like they were ripping off Voltron.
Well, a little bit, of course. Hey, listen, if you're gonna steal from somebody, you gotta steal from the good people. Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
If you're going, go for the big.
Yeah.
And I mean, just a shameless plug. I am with Continuum Comics. I'm not shooting for the lower tier. I'm shooting for the big two, Marvel, DC. I want to look like them. I want talent like them. I want to produce art like them.
And you know what? Well, so I think me and you are going to have a very interesting philosophical discussion about that. Because in concept, I agree with you. You want to at least look like you belong there.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
Right? But dare I say, Mike Sealie, and ladies and gentlemen, my guest tonight is the one and only Mike Sealie, artist extraordinaire. I'm going to be drawing with him. We're doing Pirates tonight, ladies and gentlemen, because it's freaking Pirates. Why the hell wouldn't we do it, right? Right? So I'm doing Studio Ghibli Pirates from Ni no Kuni 2. That's what I'm doing tonight, right? Because Studio Ghibli is awesome, and I like video games. And the art style is probably deceptively hard, like much like Lego. I found was deceptively hard.
Oh,
The shapes are simple. The face is
the
so
capture, yeah, because I've done some Lego stuff before. I did a Lego Batman, and it was surprisingly harder than I thought because I wanted to look like it was kind of coming out of the paper. So I didn't want it block where you only see like the cutout of it. I kind of had them at an angle, and the arms are like wonky little macaroni noodles.
The arms weren't the hard part for me. The hard part for me was the face, like the facial features. Because Lego, it's pretty straightforward. Lego, it's exactly right or it's wrong.
Right.
Period. There's no middle ground there.
You don't have a lot of playground with it. It's just got to be
face. Not with the face. Everything else you do, like you can get away with anything, like because again it's Lego. You can build, but the face, oh no, you can't fuck that up. You screw that up, it ain't Lego anymore. It's
something else.
I tried to draw the Ultimate Warrior as Lego. That was a horrible experiment.
How did you do the hair?
Oh, the hair is easy. Like hair is just like what you just It's just he's got a giant fro, dude. It's not like it's not the hot, but the face. And I'm going to be honest because he's a big professional wrestler. Professional wrestling boobs are just a step below actual boobs in terms of like just the look. Kicked my ass. It just kicked my ass. Something fierce. But it taught me very quickly because you think Lego's easy.
No, I've done it, so I know.
Yeah, like when I tried drawing Justice League Unlimited, Jon Stewart, I was surprised how easy that was comparatively, because it's like, wow, the shape's more complicated overall, but it's much more organic, and even if you don't get it quite right with the face, it's close enough that it's like, yeah,
because it hasn't been defined fully because everybody art style changes with the Green Lantern, and so his face is like, as long as you get a more black man's face in your version of it, you're pretty close. Jon Stewart is a guy with a short cut like me. He got his hair cut like that and a little wider nose.
See, in my opinion, like he's the money in Green Lantern. Like he's legit the money. All right, Hal's great, but he's been done. Right. Kyle is the safe choice. I think you can do some interesting stuff with Kyle, but he can only go so far.
Yeah.
Right. I think with him. I think Simon Baz and
girl.
Yeah, I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
I don't know them enough because they
are Jessica Rice, I think is her name, right? And the thing is, they are that book, especially when Humphreys was writing it, was incredibly well done. It was a great book. Watching Humphreys get better as a comic writer, literally issue by issue. The first 2 issues, kind of bumpy. I'm a Green Lantern guy, so I'm going to be sticking with this. Please don't be. No, issue 3, something clicked.
It hit,
and he got it. That whole run is like he did. Like his run on that is an incredible series.
I'll have to read it. I have DC Infinity or DC United, so I can read all the back issues.
So Sam Humphries' run, the first 2 issues are going to be kind of like, meh, and that's fair. I'm not going to say that. Read out to the end of the first arc. Oh my gosh, Green Lanterns is the book I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. And yeah, Sam Humphries' run on that is amazing. It's probably, now this is coming from a guy that had, I loved Rob Venditti's run, don't get me wrong, but his run was just long enough. He was a perfect cleanser from Jeff Johns' like uber long run, right? Jeff went too long on the book. He
goes too long on every book.
Well, no, like you could tell, like once you finished Blackest Night, he was really out of things to say. Like you could actually tell, I'm done. I've said everything I was gonna say, and I still got like 12 more issues. What the fuck am I gonna do? That's why, like, when you turn Sinestro into a Green Lantern again, it's like, this could be interesting. It's something different. But if you look at his last run, Hal Jordan is only the main Green Lantern for 8 issues. That's it. Right?
So, yeah, that was it. That's not a sexy pick anymore.
Well. It's not even that. It's just he was done. There was nothing. Sinestro's Green Lantern was interesting, but the problem with that was if you've seen Captain Cold, you've seen Black Adam with his JSA and Flash runs, he's not going to be able to make anything really that different with Sinestro. He's just not. Yeah. He's done the villain as anti-hero thing before, and adding layers of complexity and nuance to characters is great, and I think that's a great thing, but you're not going to top Captain Cold or especially Black Adam. You're not going to do it. Like, you're just not. Mm-hmm. Right? So then he introduced Simon Baz for like 4 issues, which was, as far as an origin story goes, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like, it wasn't something I would be like, woo! It wasn't like, I didn't feel like it was a terrible thing. And then, so that was 6. So, okay, I'm lying. Hal drew Green Lantern for 10 issues of that run. 10. 20 issues of that final run, and Hal was only really the Green Lantern in 10 of them. So it was like, right? He did the first arc with Sinestro. Hal and Sinestro were back for like an arc. They got wiped out. Simon took over for a little bit. Then they came back to wrap up the series finale. Mm-hmm. and for Jeff. And watching the run, I was like, yeah, dude, you were done. You should have just walked away at Blackest Night. After that, you did everything you were supposed to do at that point. Walk. And I think he was tired of it too. And then Rob Venditti did it afterwards. And Rob is a great writer. Like, I love his Exo Manowar run. He can like take a very Conan and he added a great degree of complexity to Eric Dacia. And his run with Hal was very solid, and it felt different enough from Jeff that it felt like almost like a new thing / old thing, right? It honored what came before, but it was also Rob's, and it was solid. And then when I did the relaunch with Green Lanterns that was such a different voice, and it was like, this was so needed, right? But I think that's an example, though. If you look at the Green Lantern franchise from a comic standpoint, yeah, that's an example of a franchise that got really big and needed to condense and kind of go back to basics. And that's
I was ready for it to go back to basics because I didn't really like the whole different spectrums of lanterns.
Oh no, God no!
I did not like when they made Superman, the White Lantern, the Red Lanterns. I'm a classic guy when it comes to the lanterns, because in my mind, the yellow always cancels out the green. And it's like, and then when they brought in all the other things, the only thing I did like is the one when John Stewart, and this was in Justice League more recently in the last 2 years, where he became the full spectrum lantern. And it was just a tattoo kind of ring. It wasn't a ring. And it was like purplish kind of color or something.
I didn't read the Justice League.
Yeah, that one's more recent, but it was in Justice League.
Mm-hmm. No, for me it was it was just, I think the Red Lanterns is an interesting concept. I actually like them. They're solid. They're like a modern take to me of kind of like the Manhunters. They're kind of like a modern take of them, and because here's the thing. Killer Death robots are obsolete that the Green Lanterns could like basically blow right through, like there's no problems. Boring. Rage Lanterns like actually get angrier and are powerful and it can do stuff. That's actually interesting. That's really something that like the Rage Core, quote unquote, is a much more stimulating story than that. But other than that, I enjoyed Morrison's and Liam Sharp's run. I like Grant Morrison. It's basically, if you read any of the Silver Age, if you know the Silver Age Green Lantern history, that's the book you'll enjoy because it's a big to that whole era.
I already wrote down and taking notes actually.
Yeah,
because I have with I pay monthly for the. So
this is what I'm gonna recommend to you. The Green Lanterns run by which I have. The Green Lantern by Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp, and Far Sector by N.K. Jemisin.
Oh, I love Far Sector.
No. So Far Sector is actually the better of the two books.
Okay.
And I never thought, to say that Grant Morrison is the second best author on a property, that's actually saying an awful lot. But Grant and Liam's run is super fun. It's a throwback to a much more pulpier era. There's a lot less ring stuff. It's Morrison, so it has this like over the topness to it a little bit, but it's fun. It's very meta. It's an engaging read. I really dug the. They had fun, and you could tell they had fun with it, and you could literally skip. You could literally skip the rest of it. Like you could literally skip the rest of it because that's the stuff where they said new things or they had fun or like Far Sector to me is a really neat. I have issue 12 on my to be read list right now. I have a pile of books still reading. I've read the first 11. No, it's like that's a hell of a debut for an author on a comic. And Kate Jemison, she's on my two. I want to interview her at some point as well.
Oh, dude, if you ever interview her, I just want to be like you're behind the scenes first mate or assistant number 1 director or something like that. Because I like what she's doing. I'm a big fan of the actual artist. Like I look at his stuff and it's brilliant how he does aliens in Far Sector. I love, and it's a different feel because they still feel humanoid, but they're different kind of thing. So, I love how he does black people, and he can give you variation. They're different shapes. There's a little thicker black people, black women, and I'm used to seeing that growing up. And finally seeing it in comic books, I really like that part.
Yeah, I dug it. So I'm gonna make another one. Now this is old. The writer isn't exactly a welcome commodity, but if you ever want to see kind of where a little bit of Far Sector comes from in the Green Lantern myth, they did a John Stewart series way back in the day called Green Lantern Mosaic. Some of the fish or water elements you see in Far Sector remind me very much of that series. It's different. It's more like this is like Far Sector is the better version of that story.
Okay.
Not even like but if you kind of want to go like where did some of this kind of come from? Like the whole mosaic concept. Go back to the actual mosaic. And it was John Stewart that was originally in that role way back in the day. And it was just like, yeah, I'm a Green Lantern nerd. Can't you tell?
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I just, my biggest thing, I was totally turned off with all the different lanterns.
Oh, yeah, it's too much. It was too much. It just
I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact you need a Superman, Supergirl lantern. Yeah, you can even say I can go with a Batman lantern or something like that. But I just couldn't believe that Superman needs something else.
Well, it's not even that. It convolutes it actually detracts from some of what makes Green Lantern so unique, right? So that's kind of like, how do I put this? You take the Emerald of Empowerment, and you take that away and make that a common thing. It loses some of its interesting.
Yeah,
coloring is interesting because it's like the counter events. It's fear and faith kind of going against each other, which is always an interesting dynamic. And I do enjoy, like I said, I did enjoy the addition of the Red Lantern, because the Red Lantern is an interesting somewhere in the middle of that, which is an interesting. You can make that also passion, which is a very
driven, like the powered by it.
Yeah. So you can do some stuff with that, but you don't really want to play with anything else, because honestly, it's a lot less interesting once you go beyond all that.
No. The Black Lantern, the White Lantern, the Red
Black
Lantern.
I knew the bad guy was going to be Necron when I saw the zombies rising from the dead at the very end of the Sinestro. I knew it was going to be Necron. Again, last part of obscure Green Lantern honors, and we'll get into you being an artist for the big 2-tier level here. There's a Alan Moore miniseries called Tales of the Green Lantern Corps that came out in 80s. I mean, it's old.
Give me 1 second.
Excellent.
I'm leveling up on my cord because the one is a different power.
No worries.
So
no worries. As you level up on the cord, I'll tell you the story.
Yeah.
So Alan Moore wrote this 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 thing where Krona and Necron were just annihilating the core. It was a 3-issue miniseries. It's actually probably Hal Jordan's best story, honest to God.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, and I have to come. I gotta know that you know what you're talking about, because you're in. Because when you say
yeah, no, it's totally no. Look, like if I were to pick a Hal Jordan story, everybody should read to see how much of a badass he really can be. Tales of the Green Lantern Corps. It's a 3-issue miniseries done, and like Alan Moore did this like back in the 80s. Like it's old, like really old, and it's good. Krona and Necron were the bad guys. Krona was this monster killing Guardians and Green Lanterns left and right, and Necron was collecting them for the dead. And Hal actually beat Necron by going into the battery and summoning the Lanterns from the dead, and they all distracted the Necron lineup so they could do what they had to do. It's like it's an old, but I knew it's like Necron's the villain. And the Necron back in the old days was much more interesting than the Necron that Jeff actually played. I feel like I'm bashing Jeff Johns, and I really shouldn't. He revived the franchise that needed to be revived, and there was a time when his stuff was really, really good. And I would say anything from the Sinestro Core War all the way to Blackest Night is some of the best stuff Jeff did.
That is good. I read it. It's been years, but I've read it.
Yeah, that stuff is great, and I'll recommend anyone else to read that. But if you want, like, Necron himself is much more interesting in that miniseries. And honestly, that miniseries is the best Hal Jordan story I've ever read.
So I have a question for you. Because you're hardcore with the Green Lantern, the court, everything like that, if you was to write a Green Lantern, which lantern would you pick, and what angle would you take? Because you know the personalities. You read enough.
John Stewart, easy. I told you.
What would you do with him?
John's interesting because he is the ultimate badass, and I mean that like that sounds like such a lame thing, but hear me out. This is a guy that has monumental failure after failure after failure. He watched his wife die. He was responsible for a planet blowing up. He was responsible. This is a dude that's dealt with some heavy duty crap. Yet he rises up. He becomes stronger. Oh no. Mike has disappeared. Hi everybody. Welcome to the show. Hold on a second here. Back?
I'm back.
Okay.
I think I got a phone call and it did something.
Yeah, so anyway, I'll repeat this. John's the guy that deals with it. Like, of all the characters, so in the order I would do them: John, Guy, Joe. Nah, I'm not gonna. I don't think I could do Joe justice. Simon and Jessica. So I mean, those are the ones I would do.
No,
so John,
Kyle. You didn't mention him once. Not once did you mention him.
Oh no, I didn't mention Kyle. I have mentioned Kyle. I grew up reading Kyle. Here's the thing. Here's the problem for me with Kyle, and I'll mention this with Kyle. I did an essay for Ben Bella Books called The Modern Day Percival, in which I compared like the Percival story archetype with a lot of story elements in the past. I did that very well. But when I did that, could I write a Kyle story? Yes, he is the hero's journey the whole way through. That's who he is.
And he draws comic books.
What?
And he's an artist that.
And he's a cool character, but his story, if you're talking like a story you tell with him, he is literally the hero's journey. That's who he is. Like, he's totally the Joseph Campbell. I'm going to be the hero, and I'm going to learn about everything.
Yeah.
The problem with Kyle now is he's been around. So what do you do with him? The more indirect, right? So now, what does a hero eventually become? There's one of two things. They either become a teacher or a villain. Kyle's best role, if it was up to me, he would be under Kilowog. He would be the good cop to Kilowog's bad cop. That's actually where I think he's best suited, because he was the Lantern that was by himself, that had to learn everything. So he would have a certain empathy that Kilowog would not have. And that way, so if I were to use Kyle, the role I would use him in would be to be that trainer, that guy he would be the guy building up the next generation of Lanterns. That's his best role, in my opinion, because I feel in terms of what you can do with him, because of who he is, that's the thing with him. Like that's what I would do with him. Right? That's me. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, right. There are stories you can still tell with Kyle, and I'm not saying you can't, but to me, he's very much the hero's journey arc.
Okay.
So
okay.
So
it kind of locks you in a way.
Yeah, he's well, no, it's because the only two angles you could really go with him finding and getting into a serious relationship and actually making it work. Number one. Because that's his big trauma, like dealing with trauma and overcoming trauma of the past. Or number two, him going back to his family and his origins, which is interesting until you get those answers. And then what do you do? Right? So, like, just those are the stories I would tell with him. I don't know if they could last forever and ever and ever. He doesn't have the rogues gallery any of the other lanterns has either. So I mean, it's one of those situations where I'm looking at him. His stuff has always been more interesting, trying to figure out who he is, where he comes from, and where he goes. So a character, when you've done that story with, where do you go from there? Well, he would train the next generation, so it would be easier for them than for him. I think that's a perfect spot for him. My opinion, right? I mean, I'm sure there are other things you could definitely do with him, but that's what I would do with him.
Okay.
John, this is what I would do with John, because he's the guy you do the big challenges with. I'd almost have him do what you did with Joe and go into these unknown sectors, but what I would be doing is I almost would take him and like a crew of some lanterns that he would lead and charge and explore these uncharted galaxy kind of stuff, because the cool thing about that is you can set him up to fail and he would come back stronger. That's the neat thing about John is he was responsible for a planet blowing up. He was responsible for, like, say, watch his wife die. He's gone through some of these incredible losses, and where they would break most characters, he actually gets stronger. So he's a legit badass, and I truly think, like, if I were to do a movie, he'd be the lantern I'd choose. So he's number one. Guy would be number two. Here's the thing about Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner knows Hal's better than him. He can't stand it. But that's an interesting character conflict because he's actually really, really, really good. But he's got that's where there's this war between him being an obnoxious jerk versus being a really good dude is. So there's some really interesting character growth, and coming into his own, kind of being his own lantern, right, is you could still do that with Guy and it would be interesting.
Yeah, because I think he's got a love-hate. People love and hate him. But I feel like he's slightly been underused and underdeveloped. Even though
I say underused for sure. Underused for sure.
Underused. Yeah. But I say that because there's a character that people go, this is a different character, very different from Hal.
Yeah.
And so then they go, people that when he got introduced, it was like, oh, this is interesting. But then they kind of pull back. It was like, oh, y'all need more Hal.
Well, it's you realize when you do a Green Lantern book, ultimately it's going to go back to Hal eventually. So what you got to figure out is what story you can tell that is interesting and engaging. So it's not Jessica Reyes, it's Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz. Simon has tons of room to grow even still. Jessica Cruz, I think, is also about us, but for a different reason. She's got these anxieties and self-doubts inside her. So a lot of times, her greatest enemy is herself. How do you deal with the voices, your inner demons, while wielding the most powerful weapon in the universe? There is a ton you can do with that. Like, there's so much. They started tapping into, like I said, the Green Lanterns arc.
Mm-hmm.
It taps into that a little bit. Still tons of potential with her. Simon Baz, her partner, is great because he can kind of motivate her. He's got interesting abilities even for a Green Lantern, but also, like, he's got like a cool little like dark side. He's someone that Batman will work with. right? And there's a reason for that, and it's interesting. So I look at they're good for each other because for Simon he has trust issues. For Jessica, she has her like self trust issues, which I think is a really interesting dynamic they both have. So 1, 2, 3. I don't think I'm suited to do Joe. Hal Jordan is really about not screwing it up. That's really what Hal's about. It's not. There's nothing wrong with again. You can tell a good Hal story, but I do feel you really can't go anywhere different with him. Like the story's been done. I mean, the only thing left for him to do is either marry Carol or die. Like that's just my right. Like that. Those are my like. It's not because he's not an interesting he's had an incredible time and in DC he's put a lot into him, and I get it, and he's fun and he definitely has a place. But he's also an old school hero. He's one of those heroes where the hero is much more than the person. And like I said, I love what Morrison did and had made him weird on purpose, which I thought was really interesting. But when you get right down to it, like that character, there's not a lot you left to really say about him because
that's what I feel.
Yeah, that's the right now. Again, I could do it, but again, I'm just basically my job at that point is to just not screw it up. Right. That's pretty much it. And
you don't want nobody reading and go, "That's not Hal."
Yeah, that's it.
And then they'll give up on you. They're like, he don't know what he's doing. Because anybody that knows Hal, right away, this guy's not writing him right.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would do I like what Morrison and Liam Sharp did in terms of like pulpy, crazy adventures. I would do the same thing, right? I might make him a little bit more grounded on Earth because I think that's an interesting place for him, right? It's different, but that all said, like everybody's got their thing. Like I said, I like Kyle and Hal are in a similar boat, and so I feel like a lot has been said about both characters. And I don't know if I could really bring anything new to either of them. Jo is just not quite my cup of tea. And I just know that I would not do her well. So that's why I'm staying away from her, right? But the rest of the characters I mentioned, Guy, John, Jessica, Simon, I could do those. I know I'd have stories for all three of them. They'd all be interesting and they'd be fun. In terms of other characters, Kilowog is always a fun one to do, like a fun one and done. He's a great character. I love Ego. Not Ego. Mogo. Mogo is just like, wow. I love Mogo, the living Green Lantern planet. That's just a cool concept.
Yeah.
Salak is one of my favorites as well. He's just so.
He's the one with the beak. Yeah. So I have a question for you because it just popped in my head, and then you let me know right away because you would know. Forget his name. The one who gave Hal the ring.
Abin Sur.
Have they done a story arc with him?
Yes.
They have.
Oh, yeah. It's old, but it's there.
It's good?
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay because, again, he's not... The important thing about the Green Lantern mythos, like this modern Green Lantern mythos, is that Abin gives Hal the ring. In terms of who Abin was... It's kind of unimportant. I don't mean that like in a bad way. It's just, what's your story about? It's about a dude that gets a ring that can overcome, and through that he helps overcome fear. That's Hal's story. Complete nutshell. Abin's the person who gives him the ring.
That's right? It.
That's it.
Like the catalyst.
That's it. That's what he is in the story. So like, it's like sometimes like when we do these stories, like, hey, where did this person come? Where did this person come? Sometimes that's important, but for the most part, it's really. Star Wars, they never really needed to tell the story of how Vader became the bad guy he was. It's an interesting story. It can be told. But at the same time, he didn't really need it.
He didn't. You're right.
Right.
He didn't need it. Nobody was wondering why he was so him.
Yeah.
We accepted him for him.
But the thing is, that's an interesting... Don't get me wrong. That is a story you can tell.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he stood out the way he did, and you learn throughout the trilogy just a little bit. My favorite scene is in The Empire Strikes Back when the guy goes to give him a report and he's in the suit and you see that the mask is above and it comes down. And Vader, when he steps out, he looks kind of vulnerable. It looks human. That's such an interest. That tells you more about Vader. Like you see and learn so much about that character in that one scene without a word being spoken. It adds a layer to him that never would have been there. And that's where where did he come from?
Yeah.
Like, right, thing comes from is that scene. But the fact
That's
that, right, that's where it comes from. So, and it's like, it's an interesting story. But for the purposes of that first trilogy, it wasn't needed. All you needed to know is Darth Vader was Luke's father. And he was a bad guy that needed to be stopped. That's all you need to tell that story. Right? So, I'm not, and by the way, it's an unfair comparison. Vader's a way more interesting character than Abin Sur was.
Yeah.
But it's the same way, like sometimes you gotta, like, I think one of the things, and then we'll get to drawing pirates and stuff here, is I think one of the things about stories is it's very important to figure out what your story is actually about. Right? What's important to your story? And if you can break your story down to like a couple, this is why I love breaking stories down to like a couple sentences. Because if you can do that, you can figure out what's really important to tell your story and what isn't. For example, I'm writing Alice in Wonderland is Greek mythology. Alice is Mendora. Alice opens the box, and a certain Cheshire visitor goes in her head and in her shadow. And she's on a quest to restore the kingdom of Wonderland by going through all these classic Greek and other realms to find the pieces of her universe. That's the story. Right? And in so doing, also discovering, remembering who she is and where she came from in the process. That's my story. It's really simple. Really, really, like, so what's important? The cat. Doesn't matter how the cat got in the box. It really doesn't. The important thing is he's in the box. Right? And when she opens it up, and how she has this visitor in her head, now we have a story. Does the cat ever get out of her head permanently anymore? One, that's an interesting part. Two,
do you play on Pandora's box a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, you almost have to because you're dealing with a cat in a box.
Well, it's not so much that. Like, think about the story of Alice and Pandora. They have a lot in common. Pandora, why does Pandora open the box? Curiosity. Why does Alice follow the white rabbit? Curiosity.
Yeah.
They're right, and they each go into calamity by looking for the answers to their questions. So there's a lot of similarity. Like, they fit incredibly well together. So what's important to that story? The moment, and then what happens afterwards. And I can have fun the whole way through it, but the story is ultimately about Alice trying to come out of this weird rabbit hole she found herself into, because that is the story of Alice in Wonderland, right? Right? And I'm mashing up with Greek mythology so I can have some fun with it.
Right.
But really, what this is about is it's about Alice and a cat. When you break it right down, everything else I'm doing is about that story. Right? And if it doesn't need to be there, if it doesn't impact that dynamic in some way or another, then it doesn't need to be there because it doesn't matter. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm not a writer, but I understand the conceptual. I understand the arcs and what you're doing in the layers of it and stuff. I break that stuff down, but I can't separate the personalities. That would be my challenging part.
That's fine. But let's try this. So when you're drawing a picture, okay? And we'll get started here very soon because we'll get as we talk here. When you're drawing a picture, let's say you're drawing a picture of a pirate ship, for example. Is it important that I have a baby beluga like in there as well on top of the pirate ship, or is the pirate ship the important thing?
You said baby beluga whale?
Yeah, like a beluga whale. Is it important? I mean, don't get me wrong. You can have the beluga in there. It can be fun. But the story is about the pirate ship. That's the image. The pirate ship. And maybe you have a little bit of crew there. So you get a sense of kind of what the purpose of the ship and what they're doing. But the rest of it doesn't really matter now, does it?
No.
Everything else is extra. And you can have some extra, can add layers to what you already built. Like maybe the captain is like, about to raid a ship. So maybe you have another ship burning, right? As the pirates are about to board, because now you're telling a very graphic story. Or maybe you have the pirate ship running away, like sailing away as another ship is after them. That's a different story now you're telling, right? One, they're attacking and looting, and the other one, they're on the run from the law because, oh shit, we're bad, we're wanted people, right? Right? But so you can add that stuff, but the important thing is it's the ship, and what it's doing. So I have a ship, what's it doing? That's your story. Everything else does not matter.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it's because that's the one what's gonna push the story the whole time. So that's your lead character.
Yeah, that's right. So everything else, and it's true. Like storytelling, whether you're writing or you're drawing or doing anything like that, it's all about right. Who are these characters? What are they doing? Why do I care?
Why do I care? And how do you make the audience care?
Yeah, exactly. And how can the and the way to do it is how can the audience? Another way to ask that question is how can the audience connect with it? Right? Because once you have that nailed down, suddenly you have a great story.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take much. It really doesn't. It really, really doesn't take much. But you have to. But again, figuring out that stuff took me decades.
That's exciting.
I'm a slow learner.
Yeah. That's all right.
I'm a slow learner. No, it's what it takes, right? You know this too. When you start drawing, like it's just pictures and having fun, which is great. I'm not saying that's great, but if you want to start telling a story with your pictures, you gotta start thinking in those terms. Okay, what am I drawing here? What's the point of this? How can people connect with this?
Yeah. Yeah. How do you? Yeah. I'm because I'm working on Eclipse. That's my story that's coming out this fall. It's such a different avenue than drawing like a splash page or one particular thing. So when I'm dealing with Eclipse, it's like you're trying to understand the personality. And I understand when a writer or an artist first starts on a book, they get stronger with the character because they learn the personality. They learn the body language, what they would and wouldn't do, especially for a new personality, a new character. So it's like you're almost learning with the audience.
Yeah, kind of. You got to understand kind of what, like when you tell a story, you have to kind of understand where you're going with it. Because if you don't know what you're doing, like oh, what are you doing? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. It just seemed cool, and sometimes that works for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But there comes a point where cool isn't good enough anymore, and you're gonna be like, okay, well,
I need more.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to, right? You gotta look at it. You gotta kind of look at it and go, okay, what am I doing here, and why does this matter so much? I find with comics, because because the comics is such a naturally visual thing. That's the hardest part with the first issue. Is getting people to like care.
Yeah.
What's going on, and the reason I think that's such a hard thing is because a lot of times a lot of creators don't know the answer to that question themselves. Like, okay, what am I doing? Like, why are people going to care about this?
So my character, it's I kind of have an arc and a spread, meaning I know his purpose, and I didn't do like your classic origin story. This is where he comes from. I kind of throw you right in and have somebody else explain who this character is, and I have it broken down, and people won't even realize it. There's the guy doesn't really. You don't really get to know the person until issue 2 and 3.
That's fine.
So everybody else kind of describes who he is, and it's like, who is this character really? Because we've seen what everybody else interprets him or sees him as a descriptive of who they think he is. But then you get to know who the actual character is in the following issues and stuff like that. So I'm actually working on some pages on issue 2 and working on the first issue.
That's cool, man.
Just because I know ideas of what needs to happen going forward.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's
cool. I'm just speaking from my point of view, because like this is something, again, this stuff took me a long time to figure out. I'm like I said, I'm slow and shit. But it's also it's just part of the it's part of the deal. Like, you don't, hey, I can tell a story. That's, anyone can. I actually don't think it's an exclusive skill. But the science of telling a story, ironically enough, is the ability to ask yourself like just some really basic questions. And one of those really basic questions is, okay, who are these characters? And why do I care so much about them? Right? That's not so easy to answer for a lot of people, because it's a real it's a real challenge. I picked a really difficult one.
So did you started, right?
Oh, I've started, yeah. I've started working while we're talking.
So I started working on mine. I think we should show like the audience first, like kind of where our roughs are.
Sure. So then, I'm still in the pencil stage, ladies and gentlemen, but so I got like an airship being carried by a goddess, because this is literally what I'm picking up here.
So I'm freestyling. Pull back just a little bit, maybe it'll clear up. No. Okay, get closer then.
You see
I can
it?
barely. Oh, I see. It's a head shot, right?
Yeah, it is a head with a ship. She's actually carrying the ship.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this is mine.
Wow. He looks pretty cool.
That's just getting layout, kind of design. Doing a Captain Morgan kind well, not Captain Morgan, is it? Yeah, Captain.
Yeah.
Yeah, Captain Morgan rum kind of stance.
No worries. No, I found this, so I'll show you where it kind of, I'll do this really, really quickly here if I can. Let's see where I can do this. There's a way to share the screen, and I gotta figure out where it is. No, that's not it. That's not it. Where do I share the screen?
You can probably turn us both into cats or something. A filter. Have you seen that? There was a guy, like the court during Zoom time. There was, I guess, they were doing court scene. They were doing court scenes, and he didn't know his kids were playing with it before he went back online. And he's like doing work on a public setting, like trying to have a serious meeting, and it had a cat filter where he looked like a cat and literally was talking, and it was a cat mouthing. And he was like, I don't know how to turn this thing off, but go ahead and start. And it's like seeing this cat speak in this serious situation where I think it was like judges and everything like that, some serious thing going on. And it was like nobody could take it serious. And he was like, it's okay, let's keep going. And it's like literally cat face with that guy talking. It was just kind of hilarious to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be able to take that seriously either, but I think that's amazing.
Like, really? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, that is what we're doing. And it's going to be awesome! Or something. I don't know. So, again, you do... It's like, I don't want to turn this off. We'll figure this out. We'll be able to take this serious. No one can take that seriously, dude. It's okay. Right, but again, you have to have a certain confidence to even try. So I'll give him, again, props to him for trying. But you know, it's one of those things where you just know going in, it's like, it's probably not going to go well, because
yeah.
Wow, there's another hand. Yeah, I'm going to do something a little simpler next time, because yeah. This is definitely like, this is a little bit beyond my purview, I'm not gonna lie, but I'll try. That's all you can do is try, right?
Yep.
Yep. And
Yeah,
that's
I'm just a freelancing or what I imagine a pirate.
hey, that's cool. I have a goddess carrying a sky pirate ship. That's what I chose to try drawing.
That sounds more challenging than what I'm doing.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's like if somebody goes, yeah, that wasn't what it was. You didn't do a good job. It's like mine. It was like, well, we don't know what it's supposed to look like, so it looks good
You're
enough.
like, don't judge me. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm like, don't. But to go have that in common, you see, I can go, don't judge me. I don't know what I'm doing, and it's actually accurate. Right? So it is what it is, right? You just do what you can, and again, I think I actually got her form relatively right. The ship is a complete quagmire of a mess, but that's okay. If nothing else, I got the goddess's shit right, mostly. So folks, when you're watching what I'm doing here, yeah, I tried something way above probably what I'm capable of doing right now.
I feel like mine is going to be more of a buccaneer than an actual pirate, but that's what they were anyway, right?
Oh, totally.
The Buccaneers were like just Florida pirates.
Well, pirates came about as a result in a lot of cases, just the nature of the world. Like, it's kind of funny. We're looking at doing all kinds of things about vaccines right now. My biggest concern isn't really about the vaccines or not the vaccines, but it's also like we want to avoid tier 1, tier 2 systems at all costs from where I'm sitting, because the last thing I want to see or experience in my lifetime is have not situations, because that always leads into bad places. Mm-hmm. And because that creates criminals, that creates people like pirates, because a lot of time, don't get me wrong, it gets nasty fast once you go down that road. But when it starts normally just because, frankly, you're looking to survive. That's all you're trying to do is survive.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of good people with not a lot of good alternatives go to crime. It's proven today, right? It's like, hey, I don't know what else I'm doing. I can try to work honestly, or I can make more money doing this.
Yeah.
And that's always something I'm mindful of, because.
So you
Yeah.
How do you when you're like your people that you've interviewed, do some people come to you, or do you just kind of see who's gonna vibe with you, kind of thing? How do you find your guests? Or how does your guests?
Both. At this point, both. When I started, the all powerful secret to it is just asking.
Just asking?
Yeah.
But are you looking for people with a certain like skills, or?
No.
Okay.
I can truthfully interview anybody. If you really want to get down to it, I'm so confident in my abilities that I can have a conversation with anybody about practically anything. Call me arrogant, but it's just like, I have no problem talking to you. I can talk to you about the Detroit Red Wings. I can talk to you about politics.
That's funny you said Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
Are you from Michigan?
My dad's born in Detroit.
Oh, I'm born in Inkster.
Oh, I know exactly where you're from.
I just got back from Michigan. I was in Detroit, Dearborn. My family lives in right by Romulus, where the airport and stuff is at.
Yeah, I know the area quite well. My grandmother lives in Redford, Michigan. So anyway.
Oh yeah, I worked in Redford. My last job, the main office was in Redford. So
yeah,
small world. And where are you now?
I'm in Windsor, Ontario right now.
That's right. I thought Canada.
Yeah. At least for now. I'm probably going to head stateside next year.
Really?
Yeah, probably. Dude, Canada has a very interesting complex about itself that it's really, really interesting. I I look at the United States for all its flaws, and it's got many,
Mm-hmm.
very, very many. The one thing I will say about it is there is platforms for people to try and do things all the time. And if you're willing to go out and do these things, right, some cool things do tend to happen sometimes. And you guys have platforms down there to make that stuff possible. And I'm looking at that. I'm looking kind of just how the world goes. Like, the fact of the matter is, when I started this podcast, I was dealing with Canadian content primarily.
You was dealing with what?
Dealing with Canadian content primarily, interviewing Canadians. I still interview Canadians quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
But do you know my number one audience is the United States? My number two audience is Ireland.
What?
Yeah.
So do we people out there. The Irish. It's coming together. Holding the ship up.
Yep.
Here's mine. Right now I'm just working on the face.
Dude, you're good. Like, you're really good. That's an amazing face.
It's coming together. I kind of wanted the mustache, but it's like I feel like he's much more buccaneer than and he's older, so he's been around for a while. I may have him kind of weathered.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That means he's a good old pirate. He's still alive.
Yes. And I got like a mask. I don't know what else. Like a goddess holding up a ship. The details are still something I'm working on with this, so I might move on to something else. But that's not bad for a first attempt at a multi-limbed goddess holding up a ship.
I thought about doing something anime and doing Luffy. I don't know if you watched the pirate. What's it called? How am I drawing a blank? The anime with the pirate ships and stuff. Luffy's the main character.
I don't know the series, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't watch a lot. That's why I'm going blank. But I was gonna go with something like that. But I've drawn them before, and I was like, no, I'm gonna just freestyle. And I haven't done like just a pirate. I was like, I love pirates, so why not have fun with this one? Man?
Yeah, I'm actually having some fun. I'm actually having some fun with mine now because I'm. It's a goddess holding up a ship, right? So.
Yeah, I would not have thought of that.
I stole it from Studio Ghibli. It's like, all right, but now I'm gonna make it my own. A little bit more.
That's the best way.
Yeah. So I'll be adding some little bit more detail to it. Color. Yeah, boom. Yes. Having a skyship. And yeah, just little things like that, and adding some more stuff to the background here as I'm working away at this. And no, like I'm just looking at the fact that with what's going on right now, I'm like, there's things I want to do, there's people I want to see, and a lot of them are in the States, but also, I mean, I'm interviewing a lot of Canadian people, and Americans are people watching my podcast. So if that's the case, why not just focus on
growing that part?
Yeah, but I also I got dual citizenship, so
Oh, okay, I was gonna ask. That was my next question.
Yeah.
Like, how hard is it for you to
I gotta renew my passport. It's been a few years, so I have to renew it. But that should not actually take that long.
Yeah.
Right. So. Yeah, I think okay, that's not too bad. Add some more details. Putting some things together here. So, what do you think?
It's coming to, I'm trying to see this ship. And you got birds up there.
Yeah.
Is she in the sky?
She's actually, the ship's in the sky. If you look at the sea,
yeah,
she's actually in the water, carrying the ship on her shoulder.
Got you. See, you're doing it fast. I'm like thinking I'm like going too slow now.
No, dude, I'm just playing, man. I'm having fun. Like I'm not worried about good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're worried about good. There's nothing wrong with worrying about good. Eventually, I'm gonna have to start worrying about good too. Right? But for the moment, I'm not worried quite as much about it because I'm still playing with it. I'm still trying to get the hang of what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what my next angle is gonna be.
Yeah. Like I'm having, like you see this, it's almost like she's towing the ship, right? If you actually look at it, if you like the way I have it is, she's trying to tow the ship.
And what size paper is that?
9 by 12.
Okay. Mine's 11 by 14.
Yeah. You got a bigger canvas to play with.
Does size matter?
No. Actually, not even in real life. It doesn't really matter that much, my friend. It's what you do with it.
There you go.
But as far as that goes, I've seen plenty of men go, I got the equipment, but don't know how to use it. And I've seen guys that are not like, you know, I can tell when a woman's generally happy with a guy, they don't say a word.
Yeah, if it's not part of the worry, then it's not something to worry about, I guess.
Well, no, it's also more. It's actually for a much simpler reason. It's because if you're doing it right, they don't want to share.
Got you. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, they don't want. Some women don't care about that, but generally speaking, what I have found is if a woman's happy with you, nothing really needs to be said. Really, you know, she knows. That's all that really matters.
Yeah. That
right.
I'd have to second that one.
Yeah. Don't need to talk to anybody. You don't need to make a proclamation to the world. Because honest to God, who cares? Right?
Yeah.
I had somebody say, aren't you gonna brag? It's like, nope. It's like,
ain't
why?
too proud to brag. There's no point.
No, it's not even that. It's like I was like, nope, because when you get right down to it, it doesn't mean anything.
Nope.
What matters as far as that goes is she happy? Cool. If she's happy, you've done your job. If she's not happy, then you haven't done your job. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. And if she isn't happy, ask questions. You will find they will tell you exactly what you need to do and how to do it.
So where would you move here?
Hawaii.
Oh shoot. It's like, no, I was thinking, maybe he's gonna just go to Michigan or
no. So Mike, with everything costing so much to go anywhere, there's two ways to look at it. Well, I'm stuck. I might as well not go anywhere, which is what how most people think. But then there's me. I think like this. If everywhere costs the same, where do I want to be? If I'm broke, no matter where I go, where am I going to have the most fun? So why would you stick around if you know the answer to that question? Right?
Yep. That's a good point. I can't say nothing against that one.
If you make the game that no matter which way you go you lose, you might as well pick the path you're gonna have fun with. If you make the game no matter which way you go you win, you might as well pick the path you have fun with. When there's no wiggle room one way or the other, there's really no rules. So
that's what we do when you said something very profound there.
Yes. Makes sense, right?
Yep. Yeah. Word. That's it.
Right? There's no point, like, if you know, well, if I can't afford a house in Windsor, Ontario, and I can't afford a house in Honolulu, Hawaii, I might as well be in Honolulu, Hawaii.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, man. I have to say that's solid thinking right there. It's like I'm gonna enjoy myself on my struggle.
Exactly. Fuck it. Why try? Most people have this like concept of I gotta pick a spot and like why? Do you want to be here? Well, I mean that's the first question. Answer that. If you know it's gonna be a struggle no matter where you go, where do you want to be?
Might as well be where you're gonna enjoy yourself.
Yeah, might as well.
If I'm gonna be a bum, I might as well be a bum on the beach.
That's right.
Then a bum in the freezing cold.
That's right. And if everybody thought like me,
we had a lot of bums in Hawaii.
Is that right?
No, not saying you're a bum. I'm not saying you're a bum.
There's nothing.
But the record show strike that.
Listen. Joshua Penteller-Esco, award-winning podcaster, award-nominated poet, beach bum. I'm good with it.
Beach bum. Like, what's your inspiration? Honestly, tell me, what were you inspired by? What made you that award winner?
What made me that award winner? Like you're curious what? Well, if as far as awards go, they've all been entirely by accident. I've never saw an award in my life.
You never signed away your life.
Yeah. No, God, no. People seem to think I'm good at what I do. I don't know why.
That's good.
They do. Yeah, I'm not trying to how to put this. I'm not trying to downplay what I'm doing. I just look at it like this is I'm just all I'm doing, I just simplify this, is I show up and do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's nothing else. There's no magic trick to it. So I made a decision that I wanted to tell stories because I accidentally wrote a story I really liked and I wanted to keep doing it. Right?
Good.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
Yeah.
So, right? But I say that because I want people to understand, right? It's not that I'm reckless or foolish. I just look at it kind of like if I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to do it my way because there's really no other way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you said I keep it simple, right? So, some people don't look at it that way. Some people look at, well, what are we going to lose? What are we going to do? And I'm like, well, I don't look at it like that.
Right.
You're going to come into this life with nothing. You're going to walk away out of this life with
Amen.
nothing.
That's so true. That's why I don't try to worry about money too much. I have a little bit because I've worked hard for stuff of it, but I'm not overly trying to hold on it so tight that what I'm going to do with it. I mean, I'm not burning it, but I'm not gonna
Oh yeah, totally. Like
so tight kind of thing.
Well, it's a really tricky balance, right? Because what you're trying to do, right? We have this thing called eating. We all like to do that. I like to eat. I'm going to actually draw now one of my all-time favorite Magic cards. I'm a Magic the Gathering guy too, by the way.
I bought cards years and years and years ago, but never played it.
It's not for everybody. I will say that. It's not for everybody. For a guy like me, I really enjoy the creativity of the game a lot.
Okay.
The game is actually quite creative, but it does require a certain appreciation for math of all things. It's a math game. It's really breaking it all down. Right? But no, like I said, I'm very much like, again, I'm very much the guy, like, I'm the guy that's like, I've starved. I've been through like the apocalypse, my own personal apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
What the gift it gave me was, though, it kind of killed my fear of practically everything. Because why would I be scared now? I've done it.
Because you made it.
Yeah, I've seen the bottom, right? So what more can you do to me that hasn't already been done? Like, bring it. Right? And that's my perspective. Now, it's not always the best perspective sometimes. I'll acknowledge that, but it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you're gonna do that, oh, that's really cool. That's gonna be fun to actually try to draw. But if you're gonna do that, right? If you're gonna go all in, you might as well just go all in and be fearless about it. It's like, fuck it. I believe in myself. I believe I can make good things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I have. So maybe so I actually answer your first question. The award-winning thing is I wanted to create beautiful things. When you get right down to it, I had things I thought I believed that were worth saying. I had stories I believed that were worth telling. And the rest has just kind of been a happy accident. And I've just embraced those accidents. That's it. That's the whole of my secret, my friend.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's not a bad way to look to approach it.
Well, I've said this on the show a few times. My favorite accident of all time is chocolate chip cookies.
Your favorite what?
Accident of all time was chocolate chip cookies. Chocolate chip cookies was an accident.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow. Got you.
Someone accidentally put cookie dough in with everything else.
Well, I'm glad of that accident.
Yeah, yeah.
That's for sure.
That's the shit, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that accident changed the world. Goes to show you that not doing things that doesn't always end. Accidents don't always necessarily end in bad places. Sometimes they end in amazing places. Right?
Yeah.
Right? That's the lesson there. Is that good things can happen from accidents. You just gotta embrace the possibility that good things will come.
Because we're drawn, I think Bob Ross is best said is there's happy accidents. Let's make some happy clouds.
That's right. Why not? If life was just about, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just to give you a sense of what I'm doing next, that's the start of a pirate.
Pull forward. Okay, I seen it.
Yeah. Can you believe I've only been drawing for 8 months?
So you just started this?
Yeah.
I've been doing it all my life.
That's hey.
I feel like it saved me from losing sanity. at times.
Oh, it's absolutely. It does that because you get to express yourself. But
Yeah, it's been a great saving grace for me, in so many different avenues. I did it when I was a kid because it was an escape and I enjoyed doing it. And all I drew was superheroes because I enjoyed superheroes. I read comics. And the amazing thing is I wanted to do for a living, but where I grew up at, you don't become this for a living, and you aren't your parents don't push you to say, oh, follow your dreams and stuff like that. You're trained and taught to do something that is going to take care of your family at an early age, not follow your dreams. Mind you, I feel like I could have been, because I know how much money I'm able to make now as an artist, if I had stuck with it, I could have made a living off of it. And I've had other artists that I grew up reading their comic books say, why aren't you doing this? And it's like, those things are like that moment when you go, I don't, like, why would they, if they said it, then it means they respect what I'm doing or the direction I'm going.
Well, let's go. Do you want a deep, profound thought?
Yes, I like deep, profound thoughts.
There's no guarantee, whatever you choose to do, that it's going to work out. Doesn't matter how safe it seems. It's how safe it seems. So I'm going to tell you an interesting little story about my week this week. Okay. I was supposed to do a day job. I needed to reinvest a day job of some kind.
Okay.
And I need to reinvest in I have a book coming out in November. I want to make sure she's paid. That's why I kind of went back. It's like, okay, you know what? I got responsibilities. Let's make sure I can take care of the responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Seems reasonable, right?
Yep. So
last week I got laid off. Right before I was about to start this job. Now in my gut, I knew deep down it was wrong for me. I knew I wasn't going to stay there that long anyway. Just knew it. Just know. Just have that knowledge in your head that it's just not meant for you. Just not. And you know it deep down, but you still do it anyway because this isn't about you. It's about taking care of everybody else. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I got laid off. So I said, you know what? Let's take some freelancing gigs. I made a living wage this week as a freelancer. 3 jobs. I haven't gotten paid for my last job yet this week. Actually, for 2 of the jobs. I know I'm getting paid one of them tonight, but even with just the 2 jobs, I made a living wage this week.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, I know next week isn't guaranteed.
Nope.
But do I really go back? Like, would you go back?
If you can keep pushing to do what you
I already got
would rather be doing, then absolutely try to do what you want to do. Not.
So here's the thing, though. I already got another job lined up right off the bat next week. I already got one. I decided to try. Basically, I said, you know what? If I'm supposed to just be freelancing right now, figure out how to crack that nut permanently, so I never have to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's do it. Now, I don't know if I have as much to lose as you do. I probably don't. I have very little to lose at this point in my life.
You have what?
Very little to lose. I just don't have much to lose. Right? So I may be an outlier, but it occurred to me a long time ago that these jobs that are so secure with a steady paycheck right now, none of them are going to pay me what I'm worth. Not one. Not one. In fact, the odds of me retiring with any of those said jobs is practically slim. It's not. let's be real. Our generation ain't retiring. We gotta be very, very honest about this. Right? We ain't retiring, my friend. Not likely, anyway. Possible, but not gonna hold my breath.
Maybe I'll be a Walmart greeter.
Entirely a possibility, my friend.
Entirely a possibility.
Entirely a possibility. I wouldn't wish that on you, but I mean,
no. Hopefully, I'm trying to be smart enough to, like, I would love to. Like I said, the continuum thing. I want to grow it. I would like to make it where it's a supplemental thing that I can continue to do. Maybe I want to do stuff with kids' books. I love making impression on kids.
So may I offer? Thought. Are you ready for me offering us some thoughts for you?
Yeah.
So if you could be a creative for the rest of your life, whether you're doing comics or just drawing stuff for people, would you do it? What do you want?
What do you mean? What do I want?
You said you want to do stuff for kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But let's be as specific as possible. What's your dream gig? What do you really want to do? Go as specific as you can. And I'm getting this profound for a reason. So
okay. Man,
I'm asking, and it's a tough question, right?
Yeah. Yep. Because I don't know if I fully.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. What do you want?
That part.
Don't
Don't
worry about what you don't have. Worry instead about what you actually want. Answer the question as specifically as possible.
I would like to be an artist that can have effect like art did for me, what art did for me, and make sure I advocate to kids that. And I don't know what exactly the avenue to do that in, because I'm saying like I know growing up, and I've talked to other artists that they can pinpoint one person and they may not know contact with that person ever again, but that one person gave them the push to say they can do this. Don't forget that creative side of youth that you have as a kid, those aspirations of what you want to do. So it's more motivating, whether they be an artist, they want to be a musician, but we get so stunted after a certain point when we cross over that threshold between childhood and adult, we leave that creativity, most of us.
You do. But you're okay, that's the impact you want to make. That's not my question though. But we'll come back to this. There's a very reason if it sounds like I'm being a prick, a little bit. That what do you want? What do you want to do? And I ask this like this for a reason.
Huh.
What do you want? What do you want?
So when you say that, I'm like, I'm asking myself, what do I want? In the sense that short term or long term.
Doesn't matter. There's no wrong answer to me asking you this question, other than what do you want? What comes to mind? What's so specific inside of you? Right?
So specific inside me that I want, but I feel like I can actually attain it though.
No, we're gonna worry about that in a minute. I don't care about that. That's irrelevant.
I want to produce a comic book for the big two.
That's what you want.
Okay. Yeah.
So Number one, it's attainable.
It's what?
It's totally attainable.
Yes, I feel so.
No, I know so. You're good enough. You got the talent for it. I kind of feel that boobs still kick my ass, but here, this is my.
It's like Jack Sparrow, but it's got like the face looks like a painted skull.
Yes. Yeah. I screwed up. I screwed up on that a little bit, but I think I did. It wasn't bad though. I don't think what I did. I created a zombie pirate. That's what I did there.
Okay.
Zombie pirate. It wasn't the intent. That was the result.
It gave me a feeling of you remember the James Bond movie? I think it Live and Let Die, when they were wearing the skeletal faces.
Okay,
that's
cool.
what it reminds me of.
That's cool. All right, so okay, you want a comic for DC and Marvel? Okay. So, how do you think you can attain this?
How?
Yeah.
Produce my own.
Yes.
Which I'm in the process of doing. My own stuff, and literally going to an editor at a large con, and they say, let me see your portfolio, and I give them a few finished books of what I've done and what I've accomplished. It says, I want to do some stuff for you guys.
Okay.
And I know some editors, or I know some artists that are in the business that can put me in front of editors.
You're talented enough. Not going to question that with you. So, would you like the only piece of advice I will give you on this? Actually, I'm going to give you two pieces of advice. The first one's the practical one. I'm going to ask you this question with your comic, and we'll talk about your comic in the second year too. Is this: what is it about your comics that is about the story you're telling that only you can tell it? Because if you can answer that question, you will get into the door. The reason I'm asking, and the reason I say that is this. The reason why I said I can do, let's go back to my Green Lantern talk for a second. I can do John Stewart, I can do Guy Gardner, I can do Jessica Cruz, I can do Simon Baz. Why? Because there are pieces of those characters that I can put my own personality in and tell a story only I can tell with all of them. I can't really do that with Hal. I might be able to do something with Kyle, but really it's not what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of cues me from both those characters. I could do it. I might find a way to do it, but it wouldn't be my first choice. I have no chance with Joe because I don't think. For me right now, there's a chance to tell a story with her that I feel that I could bring something to the table that is worth telling.
Okay.
And that's just an honest admission on my part. It has nothing to do with the character. The character's great. It's just not every lantern's going to hit me the same way, and that's the thing with her. So there you go. So all of which to say, zombie pirate, nice. Zombie pirate, so I'm going to call that one. But all of which to say that you have to do the same thing with your work. What's the story? What do you care? What kind of stories do you care about telling? Like the impact you want is you want to encourage people like you who got started that I can do this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So therefore, your stories are going to feel along those lines of overcoming those obstacles because you give a shit about that. Since you give a shit about that, right? One of the best things I've ever read about like pitching to bigger companies or anything, pitching in general, is taking a character, an established character, even with established characters, it's figuring out the stories that only you can tell with them. Like, what's your connection to those characters?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do Spider-Man? What is it about, say, Spider-Man, for example, what do you feel about Spider-Man that you're drawn to? Say Captain Marvel. either DC or Marvel, depending on which one you go by. So you think you can do Billy Batson? Cool. What is it about Billy Batson that you could actually bring to the table that's different, neat, and interesting? With Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. Okay, what about her that's unique, different, and interesting that you can actually tell to bring to that character? Because if you can, that's the question creators have to ask themselves. What, like, you have a distinct voice. That's what you bring to it, no matter whether it's pictures or it's words. It's your voice. So what's your voice? Find that voice. Find and figure out what stories you care about telling. The minute, Mike, you can do that, you are good enough to get into any company. You'll be able to answer a question most creators never can.
Yeah. That's true.
So that's the first piece of advice, and that's the practical piece of advice. Figure out the story that only you can tell, and you figure that out, my friend, you will get into any door you want. Might take time, but there won't be a door you can't knock down. The second thing is, dude, go big. Do not think about things in terms of attainable or unattainable or this or that, because even if, so this is what I have found personally about my career, because all my stuff's by accident. I accidentally started this podcast. I accidentally wrote some of the books. I accidentally wrote and got traditionally published. Like, it was entirely an accident, right? So here's the thing. I look at the spaghetti that sticks with me, and it's not that different than the guy throwing the spaghetti. It's the same guy. It's just it might not have looked like what I imagined it would look like. But now that I've seen the piece in the past, it's like, oh my gosh, that's totally me, right? So, for example, let's say maybe you don't get into DC and Marvel, just hypothetically, but maybe Boom really loves your take on Power Rangers, even though you can't stand them saying, "Hey, Groot, all that stuff." Oh, no.
I have to pretend it's Voltron.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. Pretend it's Voltron. Or maybe IDW loves what you do with Transformers. Then you can have to really play with Voltron. It's like, oh, dream come true.
Yeah, right.
Or Dark Horse says, hey, what about Hellboy? Or maybe Mike, you become the next Jeff Smith and come up with something as cool as Bone. Right? I can't, like, the only thing I would tell you, and this is the only other thing, nothing's unattainable, but don't be married to the results. Instead, shoot for the results you want, but be aware that what you'll end up getting, it won't look like, in all likelihood, what you imagine it to be, but it will be the person in the mirror. So my advice is, and the second part of this advice is, believe in the person you see in the mirror, that they can do great and wonderful things, because damn it, you're Mike Sealie and you're awesome. And you got to actually believe that with all your heart and soul, because here's the thing, it's hard. The last thing you want to do, and this is the hardest thing about this business, is there's a lot of things out of your control.
Yeah.
So Mike Sealie can't defeat the guy in the mirror. I'm going to be the best guy I can every day. I'm going to be grateful with everything. Even if some days I want to use 4 and 5 letter words about how some things turned out, right? Because let's say we all have those moments, let's be honest, right? But the thing is, you got to be like, I'm not going to let myself get in the way of my own possibilities. I'm going to embrace them, whatever they look like. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Because I think to get, like, your goal, like I think if you know your end goal, you're going to reach different obstacles that put you on a different track. Whether you're going over the mountain, through the mountain, there's different ways. But if you have that goal in mind, it makes it attainable because you're going in that direction.
Absolutely. In your own way.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to have trust in that, even if it doesn't feel like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, because it's like sometimes you don't know.
Oh,
but confidence is key with a lot of stuff, and people can read that because so people can have hope in or belief that this guy will attain that because he has confidence in it, and he's working towards it.
That's right, because that's important. But I bring it up like this for a reason, right? Because just some of the ways you were talking a little earlier, especially when you talk about what I feel is attainable and stuff, like, no, you need to beat that out of you. That realistic crap will get in the way of your possibilities. Yeah, right. And I say that because I don't know anyone that's a realist. I don't know. Mike, I don't pretend to know how the world works. I'm just here. I wake up and I've watched how people have reacted and lost their minds during this time. And I'm going, I can't control that.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, but you know what I can do? I can draw pirate. I can pirate zombies and goddess carrying a pirate ship in the sea with a buddy from Florida who we just started to talk and meet. And he seems to enjoy my company at the very least. So.
Yes, this has been great.
Yeah.
You want to see what I've done?
Yeah, I want to see what you've done because I've done two. Like I got a long way to go to become, I think, good. But I like the fact that my images, folks, have gotten form. So you can actually kind of see what that is.
Yeah.
That's a very happy artist with a sky ship and birds and there's water and it's fun, right?
Yeah.
And then I got Zombie Pirate. Zombie Pirate.
Zombie pirates.
That's right, Zombie Pirate. So what are you doing, Mr. Mike?
All right, here it comes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's incredible. Dude, that's so cool. Your parrot is so happy. He's either very happy or he's very constipated. I don't know. I'll let you have that. That's an amazing picture. In all seriousness, my friend, that's an amazing, amazing picture. And when this is over, you got to post that on your own Facebook because that's damn.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna post it on there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Dude, you're again, the talent's there. You have the talent, right? Just be confident in yourself. Just say, I'm Mike Sealie. I'm a badass. I can do this. You will.
It reminds me of an old Saturday Night Live skit when this guy would look in the mirror and he says, doggone, I'm good enough. I'm strong enough, not strong enough. But doggone, people like me.
Yes.
I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, and doggone, people like me.
That's right. And you're a likable guy. Like here's the thing. Like you have the opportunity, which you're doing the right thing. You're proving that you can get a project done because you do need to prove that. That's huge. Not denying that. But also, this is the part. Like, who knows? Especially in this crazy era of Kickstarter comics, you might have a mega hit. In which case, the big two might come your way and go, please do that, and you're gonna be like, sure, how much?
Yeah, right.
Say that you never know.
Yeah.
Look at Zing Zin. Look at what he's doing, right? He's got a movie deal with his series on Kickstarter. At this point, the big two might not be able to afford that guy because that guy's right now kicking all kinds of ass.
But now we'd start thinking other bigger things because I know like Amazon Prime, I know like Netflix, they're looking for ideas and unique stories to tell.
Well, here's the thing, okay? This is the flip side of of the creative business. This is a creative standpoint, okay? The biggest money in creative content is intellectual property. It always is. Here's the thing, okay? It's not just the comic you're making. It's the board game. It's the movie.
Yeah.
It's the television show. It's
Yep.
rights around the world. It's not that you've sold it once. It's that you've sold it multiple times in multiple forms, right? To the point that now Mike's doing like, I'm too damn cool to come on your show, Josh. I'm not doing pirates anymore.
I don't think that will happen. Because I think that's the fun of it. Yeah. And I've seen people that do it, and I even see people like Jim Lee will go to the comic book store where he kind of started at. I think Torpedo, he's got a friend over there, and he still will show up twice a year there because it's like, yo, that's my store, and he's a millionaire. Absolutely. He runs freaking DC Comics, so it's like he could go, no, I don't have time for you anymore, and that's not gonna bring me enough money. But he's like doing it because those are my peoples.
Well, here's the flip side, right? It's what you get back. I did my very first signing at the comic shop I grew up with in London, Ontario, about 7 years ago. That was so surreal. I had a very tiny turnout. It did not matter.
Yeah.
It was just cool that I got to do that. It's like, wow, I grew up coming to this shop. And here I am. They were great too. Like LA Mood, London, Ontario. You guys rock. I've done signings in Another Dimension Comics, the comic shop I still kind of shop at. During this pandemic, it's like, I don't know anybody in Windsor, but I do know the guys in Calgary. Thanks, guys, for being awesome. Right? So, but all of which to say is like, there's a point like you give back. And that's very important too. No one gets anywhere in this life on their own. Everybody helps each other along.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I love doing this podcast, to be honest, I meet some incredibly cool people all the time.
That's gives you, that's some fulfillment right there.
Yeah.
And then you connect with people that you would walk past them 1,000 times. But something brought it together, and it's like, yo, I really rock. I can really click with these people.
Do you know how surreal it is sometimes to have I did an interview with Steph Cannon and Mike Knowles this week. So I'm a fan of this metal band called Eleviti. The guy actually performed with them. That is such a surreal moment. Like super surreal. And you're like, it really is a small world. Right? It really, really is. And
it is.
And then I'm I'm looking at this like, okay, I met you just literally by kind of random chance.
Random.
Yeah. We get along well. I mean, we've been telling terrible jokes and Green Lantern nerdisms for the whole time.
I think we've just been joshing.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
When it comes down to it, there's an advertisement for you. We're just joshing, guys.
That's right. We're just joshing around. That's right. But that's just it, right? I consider it's an honor, but it's also in one sense this is me paying it forward too, because no matter who I meet or how I interact with them, it's like, wow, this is really cool, right? And like I said, it grows. It just grows from there, and I always am pleasantly surprised by everybody I get to talk to.
Yeah.
And so doing, you make friends and connections you never would have dreamed of.
Yeah. And I can be able to say I knew you when you had long hair.
That's right. I knew you when.
I knew you when. Yes. You was all that hair.
Yes. Still all that hair, right? All that hair still. But it's not as much hair. I'm actually gonna get another haircut soon. Just go back to like the really, really short hair.
Yeah, I'm gonna grow mine out too.
You're like giant.
Like no, because if I grew mine out, the little missing hair here, it would look like kind of like Bozo the Clown kind of thing. So
that isn't quite the look you're going for. It's like, I'm a professional. I'm gonna look the part, be the part. Okay, so I'm gonna ask a big question, and then we're gonna I'm done the drawings for me for the night.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. So we're done.
Pencils up.
But yeah, we'll show you a piece again before we walk out and talk about this. So what was the comic that made you want to do comics? There had to be like one that made you go, I gotta do this. What was it?
Has to be Spider-Man, because
Cool.
I collected Spider-Man comics. The crazy thing is I'm now friends with the person that drew the comics. And if I told 8-year-old me that I can sit down and talk about digestion problems, foods we can't eat because we're getting older, I would still freak out. I was sat at the table of Alex Saviak. He drew a Spectacular Spider-Man. He knew Stan Lee and did the Sunday Funnies, but did the Spider-Man section with Stan Lee.
That's awesome.
He did that for years, and it's like I met him in 2016, and it was just like, oh man, I'm a big fan. I had your comic books when I was little. None of them were in good condition because I would thumb through them, and they were all in Mango. My parents give me Mango comics. Like, look, we found a comic that you like, but it's Mango because I would loved it. So I've since seen him at multiple cons and had drinks with him at the bar. He was just drinking water, but I was drinking drinks, and I was with some other artists and stuff like that, and we just had a ball. And so now I see him, and we can talk for a long time. I've been in New York City Comic Con, and he's like, "Oh, I gotta run to the restroom, hold my seat." And like people come up, and it's like, "Yeah, you're definitely not him," because he's a older, heavyset white guy. So definitely a different look. And then he comes back, and we're just sitting there chopping it up. And I was like, "This is literally freaking crazy," because 8-year-old me would be like, "I would love to meet this guy," and I'm just sitting there talking about regular stuff, you know, and that is to me awesome, beyond awesome.
So I'll let you know, like way back in my archive, really early on, I got the interview J.M. DeMatteis, Duke Craven's last hunt. I actually got to interview him. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
I have to look that up. Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel. You gotta look. It's in the archives somewhere.
You gotta go zing, zing, zing. How many episodes is this?
Oh geez, this is in my first 100. Somewhere in my first 100 episodes, it's there, so you'll find it.
Okay.
It's really cool. Yeah, I cringe, by the way, when I listen to my earlier episodes now, because like, oh god, stop. But
you have to crawl before you run.
I know. It takes a long time.
Yeah,
it really does. Like I said, I'm slow. I learned slowly, but it's okay. But so Spider-Man for you. So talk about your comic. You said it's Eclipse, so talk about it.
All right, so Eclipse is the whole idea. Mind you, I had this idea in my head. The character was in my head. I designed him back in '93. So that dates me a little bit, but I literally drew him. His design has barely changed in that time. I actually have a drawing here. I'll show him.
Eclipse. That's awesome.
And he's a Hawaiian superhero, so he does this. And the whole idea with the Hawaiian superhero, if there's a bunch of, when you think about superheroes, every single one of them are in New York, LA, somewhere in the United States, mainland. So even if the fast Flash or Superman, somebody fast like him, it will still take a minute or a while to get to Hawaii. So what happens if something pops off in Hawaii? Who's there to save them? Well, this homegrown hero, Eclipse. And not without giving him a lot of story, but he is a character that they call him the Hawaiian Protector because he really cares about his people. And there's little elements that I've spoken with other people that were born in Hawaii. And so little elements will come into play that me and you, because we're not from Hawaii, may just read the story and not pick up. Certain words are being said, certain things will be in the background, pictures, certain things they eat will come into play where there's like little hints that somebody from Hawaii will read that book and go, yo, this guy did a little bit of research because how would he know that kind of thing? So, because I've talked to people that were actually born there and I'm just picking little things and I'll find little elements because I like doing Easter eggs of things.
Absolutely.
So background to have certain birds that you would only see there, or certain animals that would only see there, like the mongoose is there. I looked up mongooses are from there. They were brought there to get rid of rodents because that was a predator, but they actually are on different schedules. So now they're both a nuisance to there. Like little stuff like that. Yeah, it's like little things you'll see show up, and nobody will ever know unless you're part of that.
So I'm gonna ask a big question, and then we're gonna wrap this bad boy. Remember how I said sort of tell the story only you can tell. So what's Eclipse's story?
Okay, the beginning of the story is there's something major happened on mainland, and so there's a fixer that is trying to bring him in because they need a big superhero guy, and he's hearing all this stuff about this Hawaiian superhero. So they send a crew of like X-Men type characters to go get him, whether he comes easy or comes or doesn't and go, or it goes hard.
Easy way or hard way?
Easy way or hard way. They go get him. En route, they run across his nemesis and get their butt kicked. And so somebody else, the person that they went to get, kind of bails them out. And they go back with their tail between their legs to the fixer, who said, go get this guy. And these guys are kind of like trying to prove themselves that he sends, and they kind of fail really bad. And they come back with the tail between their legs and go, yeah, we kind of didn't come back what we were supposed to do, but he kind of saved us. And he said he's not that kind of guy. He's not a team player. So, his origin is introduced little pieces at a time, and without saying too much, like there's other backstories on the villain and how they correlate, how they tie in.
You have a mythology. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So when's this book going to be done?
I am 22 pages in. I have, I'm doing a 28-page book. It may be 32, depending on how the story, if I need extra pages, but my plan is 28. It's scripted for 28. I also have probably 6 to 8 pages laid out for issue 2, but issue 1 is supposed to drop this fall.
That's awesome. Good luck, man. That sounds good. It's going to be Kickstarted. You're doing the Kickstarter route?
Kickstart. Yeah, real quick, we currently have a book of 5 stories, 6 stories actually, on here. If you go to heroicscomics.com, it'll take you straight to the Kickstarter. And that's Heroics.
Is it Heroics? Isn't HEROIX?
Yes. HEROIX Comics, COMIX.com. And it'll take you straight to the Kickstarter. And I did a cover for it, and I'm doing 2 pages on the interior and some alternate covers.
There you go. That's it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go. So
that's a cool current Kickstarter going on right now. We just met our goal, and now we're in our stretch goals.
High five! Bam!
Yesterday we hit our goal, and I'm excited. It's our second book, so we had success when we made the first one. Shout out to everybody that helped create the first book, because without all the people that was a part of it, and that's Meredith, that's Nita, that's Michael Lanning. They helped make all that stuff happen and come together. I can't forget Rob. Rob is very instrumental of making all of this happen, and continues to make it happen. And he knows he's put out over 22 comics now, and done multiple Kickstarters. So it's nice to have him in the wheel well of knowing what we're doing and stuff like that. So
that's awesome. So for everybody wondering, how can they find you?
They can find me at Mike_MJS_ART.
MJS_ART.
And that's my Instagram.
Okay, cool.
But MikeSealie.com also is my website.
So we'll do this spelled here. Instagram.com. You get that bad boy right?
Mike _MJS_ART. Think so. And then MikeSealie.com.
All right. Very cool. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, this is my first drink and draw in a while. I hope you guys had fun watching me and Mike draw and geek out about life, the universe, and everything. I'm going to be back tomorrow at noon with Rich Perota. It's going to be a fun little drink and draw. I'm doing pirates for the rest of this week. I don't know what the heck I'm going to draw tomorrow, but I'm going to be doing more pirate stuff. Sunday, yeah, there you go. I mean, look, if that bird, that is a happy bird. I'm going to call him Happy Bird from now on, just because of how he looks. But guy, I will ask before we walk away here. The guy, who is he? Like, who's the pirate there? Like, do you have a story for him yet?
He's a buccaneer. Things didn't go as planned as a organized buccaneer for the States. And so he went off to become a full pirate and stole a couple ships. So he has a whole fleet. He has a parrot because pirates are supposed to have parrots.
Okay, fair enough. So we have a buccaneer turned mob boss with his sidekick, Happy the Parrot. That's how we're going to be Happy the Parrot. But I will be back tomorrow. I will be back Sunday as well. Monday, I'm going to be doing a crossover with Anvu. We're going to be doing just stuff because it's on. She's awesome. So if you guys liked what you listened to her or watched, hit the follow button on my Twitch, twitch.tv/justjoshingpodcast. My YouTube channel is Joshua Pantellaresco. Hit the like and subscribe button there. Alice Zero is nominated for the Elgin Award. You can definitely pick up the book. And I'm officially a full-time freelancer. If you're looking to have your comics edited, you want articles written, or podcasting stuff, I am your guy. On that note, guys, stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
I love just joshing.